David cannot be here today. Erica Gray, I live in. I want to start off with is yesterday marked the 43rd anniversary of 3 Mile accident, which one of the largest accidents in the state so far. Another one now. It was due to a mechanical inhuman error. Unit 2 is currently shut down in 1979 for the accident. It's maintained in storage right now until I think when they finally close down, which looks like it's estimated to be in 2079. None of us. See? When things go wrong, because they're really wrong, it's really expensive. I don't even know what that cost is going to look like when they finally do, but that's going to be the way of the children and grandchildren. I wanted to move also to the NPR, demonstrate the things going on in Ukraine. It's pretty horrific. Of course, this was on NPR on March 14th. Last week's assault on Russian forces on the Zaporizhzhia, I can't say it, nuclear power plant was far more dangerous than initial assessments suggested. According to analysis by NPR, videos and photographs of the attack of the aftermath, a thorough review of the 4-hour, 21-minute security camera of the attacks reveals the Russian forces repeatedly fired heavy weapons into the direction of the plant's massive reactor buildings, which house dangerous nuclear fuel. Photos show that administrative buildings directly in front of the reactor company was shredded by Russian forces. And a video from inside the plant showed damage and possible Russian shells that landed less than 250 feet from the reactor 2 building. If attacking the functioning plant wasn't insufficient, Russia has also taken over the site, no longer operating Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Chernobyl nuclear power plant accident in 1986 spread radioactive materials throughout Europe. It was one of the largest nuclear catastrophes in history. There has even been reports of, because of all the action and stuff that's going on there, that actually they can actually measure radioactive particles in the area. I'm not sure how. So that kind of goes to demonstrate that we never really know what's going to happen. I think we have like 15 reactors in that country. I don't know how many viable labs, but this is a very dangerous situation. Nuclear, just by its nature, dangerous. It doesn't matter if it's from mining, milling, processing, to the back end of forever waste storage. Yes, we have a ban on uranium mining, and Virginia's came out in force that we don't want it. And that facility that's down there by Chatham, Virginia, near the North Carolina border, people don't want that there, and they fought it really hard. Low-grade uranium. You have to dig up a whole bunch. I don't know how that's environmentally friendly, but so I mentioned that. Yes, there's obviously a problem with us relying on uranium. 20% from Russia, 30% from their allies, about 90% is already imported. So anyone living near, especially the Native American communities, a lot of that stuff still hasn't been cleaned up. To do more of that, the name of clean energy is just beyond my imagination. That's even clean. I did want to mention that I do think that we need to look at, from the engineer, the estimated cost of cleaning up the waste from 20th century nuclear power plants currently stands at $131 billion. Now that's more. What's more is this figure does not include construction of a geological depository. So, and that's the UK. Can you imagine what ours would look like? So, it's This group always talks about moving forward with new, more new. Well, you know, we've got some huge, daunting tasks when it comes to the waste we already have. I think that's definitely a problem. And from Mr. Lyman, Dr. Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists report, basically, if nuclear power is to play a larger role to address climate change, potential for new reactor designs to be safer, more secure, and pose comparable or better yet, lower risk of nuclear proliferation and nuclear terrorism than the existing fleet. He goes on to say, despite the hype surrounding them, none of the non-light water reactors on the drawing board we have reviewed meet all of those requirements. So he goes on basically, one of the proposed sodium-cooled fast reactors, TerraPower's 345 megawatt Natrium, has received considerable media attention because of Bill Gates. But basically, in fact, the U.S. report sodium-cooled fast reactors such as Natrium would likely be less uranium efficient. They would not reduce the amount of waste that requires long-term isolation in a geologic repository. They also could experience safety problems that are not an issue for light water reactors. Sodium coolant, for example, can burn when exposed to air or water. A sodium-cooled fast reactor could experience uncontrollable power increase that would result in a rapid or meltdown. So when it comes to safety, the security, sodium-cooled fast reactors and molten salt fuel reactors are significantly worse than conventional light water reactors, says Dr. Lyman. Kind of goes on to say, got a lot of hype going on here in this room about we don't know, and the amount of money that's going to be needed, and the amount of money that's been given from the government for some of these grants is a drop in the bucket. So, I mean, all this hype about how exciting this is, exciting like in 20 years maybe. I mean, you might get some of these demonstration things going, but none is proof. So, I mean, I think that's a far cry there to be really excited about it. The reality is renewables already exist, and I think Dominion knows, Mr. Schotter knows this very well. I'd like to see, a lot of Virginians would like to see, because we already have a lot of these things at hand, and why not move forward more with renewable energy? It doesn't require forever storage of nuclear waste. It's not dangerous, doesn't require this whole mining uranium everywhere. It's dirty and it's toxic. So, I mean, to me, the solution is more to kind of go with kind of where we're going already. And so I think that would make more sense. And I was going to say that I did notice with listening, I'm not sure what April was mentioning when Mr. Schotter was asking about the different things that was written. She mentioned that she or y'all were not the ones that worked on that proposal. I'm curious who did work on those proposals. So we're talking about something about it was not like that. Said something about y'all didn't write that. Who's writing this book? I'm not sure. No, we're going back and forth to report. But who else was part of it? I mean,
like everybody that's on the
I didn't get that document too, by the way. I'd like a copy. I was like, next one of these here. Yeah. That's good. And then also, please, on the asset list, as a citizen, as a mother and a grandmother, I would like to know what my children and grandchildren are going to be inherited. So as the asset list goes, please list our nuclear power plants, how much waste, nuclear waste, gets stored and housed inside task for both facilities, but also how much nuclear waste is currently already sitting in the reactor cooling pools. Because if we're going to talk about assets, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll figure out how to turn it into an asset, which sounds like that's always been talked about for the past 50 years. But the reality is that should be included. So I don't want to hear just this asset list over here when there's no negatives over here on the other side. The negatives are, that's a problem. And I'm sure Dominion spends a lot of money putting this stuff into canisters. And they re-rack the fueling pools already to storage, and these facilities are getting older. So, who's going to be responsible for the waste? Obviously, every American is going to be held captive in this waste forever. I think we need to stop making it. Let's go forward with what we know, what's on the table right now, what we're doing. We can do this. As it goes to the nuclear industry, you guys work on better canisters, because these canisters, the NRC has not said they would even last 100 years. These canisters are going to start to do something better than this. And the idea of some geological repository is probably not going to happen, because you can't just pop it in the ground and just forget about it. We might be able to forget about it. What about the coming up generations? Kind of water problems are I'd like to see more responsibility happen here instead of just more, because really what it is, it's the gravy train. Everybody's jumping on the gravy train. It's a money grab. How much money can we make? Just like some of these big projects that failed. A lot of people got paid. The project never even came to fruition, but people made money. I think we just need to look at moving forward with real. I hope Dominion really takes the stand on moving forward with clean, non-dangerous, threatening energy that doesn't create waste product that lasts. Thank you.